Stop injecting voltage as your first step to find the source of a short. I'm going to show you guys an example with this particular PS5 board here that has a short on the main power rail. You can see here, if we go between the positive and negative here, we have what looks like maybe a dead short, 0.4 ohms here. If we go in diode mode and swap our probes around, we have 0.0005 voltage drop. So this looks like a dead short and a good situation for voltage injection. But I'll tell you right now, if I were to inject voltage into this rail, I would almost certainly kill the board completely and it would be unfixable. This is a very, very important and actually somewhat common scenario that we need to understand fully as technicians before we just jump straight to voltage injection. So this is the power supply connector. This is where the power supply puts 12 volts into the board. This is the main power rail, which powers the entire board. It might be easy to jump to the conclusion that there is a short to ground on our main power rail, but I can actually tell you right now that there is no short to ground on this board causing the low resistance on our main power rail. And to understand exactly why we can have a low resistance on a power rail without having a short to ground, we need to revisit this buck regulator circuit that I talked about in a recent video. This is generally how you're going to see the main power rail be turned into those smaller voltages that various chips need. If you want more of a deep dive as to how this buck regulator works, I'll have a link in the description to a video I made really diving into that. But in the case of a PS5, we have a 12 volt main power rail, and we're going to turn that into, for example, a 1 volt power rail for the SoC. We have two MOSFETs, which you can think of as electrically controlled switches. Again, they're more nuanced than that. I had a couple individuals nitpicking my circuit diagram last time. I want to make it very clear that I am not an electrical engineer. I did not go to school for electrical engineering. I am a repair technician, and I'm just trying to give you guys practical explanations of these circuits for the purposes of getting something repaired. There are a lot of intricacies to how, for example, even just a MOSFET works. And we could talk for many, many hours about each individual component in this circuit. We're not going to be doing that. So with all of that in mind, we can think of these MOSFETs as electrically controlled switches. So voltage is not going to make its way from 12 volts here into this side of the MOSFET without some kind of signal from our buck regulator controller over here. Same goes for the low side MOSFET here. No power is going to make it through this MOSFET until we get a signal over here. So again, a very quick explanation as to how this works is we have, let's say, a graph here for 12 volts at the top, 0 volts at the bottom, and then this is going to be time. What the buck regulator effectively does is it allows the 12 volts to get through to what we call the switching node here, only for 1/12 of the time in this case, which if we do the math is about 8% of the time. And then it's going to shut this one off and it's going to turn this one on for the remainder of that period there. For the other 11/12 of the time, or about 92% of the time, it's going to be conducting our low side MOSFET. And so we're going to be getting these spikes of 12 volts on our switching node here, and then it's going to go down to 0 volts, spike of 12 volts down to 0 volts, at least without this inductor here. Now what the inductor does is the inductor is really pissed off by these changes in current. You can think of the inductor like a water wheel. It has momentum. As it starts to conduct, it wants to keep momentum going, and it doesn't want to rapidly change like this. So what we're going to end up getting on this side, along with the help of some decoupling capacitors, is a smoothed out 1 volt instead of the 12 volts. And now our SoC is very happy because it is getting the 1 volt that it needs to run the device. Again, that's a very quick and dirty explanation as to how a buck regulator works. If you want a more in-depth description, I'll have a video where I talk more in depth about how that works in the description. As I talked about in that video, these buck regulators come in all shapes and sizes. A lot of the times, especially on the PS5 here, you're going to see these dual MOSFET chips, which actually combine both the high side and the low side MOSFET into one chip. So instead of having two separate chips for the high side and the low side MOSFET, you're going to have one big chip that contains both. We can see an example of that on the PS5 schematics here, where we have a dual MOSFET here. Now, one of the main failure points of the buck regulator circuit that you need to be aware of are these MOSFETs here. These MOSFETs are being switched on and off hundreds of thousands to millions of times per second. And while that's what they are designed to do, and they are very good at doing that, they are put through a lot of stress. But you'll oftentimes find, at least in my experience in repair, you're going to have a lot more cases where the high side MOSFET shorts. And when it shorts, it's very often going to short straight from drain to source, which means it's going to short this 12 volts directly into the switching node here. And hopefully you can see why this is such a big problem, because as soon as we have this shorted, we have just a straight 12 volts over here. We no longer have any of this going on. We just have a straight 12 volts being supplied to this inductor, and therefore 12 volts over here as well. And oftentimes what happens is the device is able to detect what's going on, and it's going to shut down, and it's going to attempt to protect itself. Before we dive into exactly why there is a low resistance on this board and not actually a short to ground, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, PCBWay. PCBWay offers high quality PCB fabrication as well as CNC and 3D printing services. If you want a quote for your PCBs, you can click on PCB Instant Quote. Go over here to Quick Order to upload your Gerber files. Once uploaded, you can scroll down and edit all kinds of settings like the thickness of the PCB as well as the solder mask and silkscreen colors. You can see 5 PCBs is only $5 plus shipping. And if you're new to PCBWay, you can get a $5 coupon on your first order by clicking the link in the description. So thank you to PCBWay for sponsoring the video, and let's get back into it. Something that you should be aware of is that certain power rails are going to read really low resistance to ground. So for example, we have one here, which is reading 28 ohms to ground. We have this multi-phase buck converter here, which is feeding the SoC. And in this case, we're seeing actually about 0.4 ohms to ground. So under an ohm on this voltage rail feeding the SoC. And this is actually very normal, especially with modern CPUs, GPUs, and SoCs on the rails that are powering these chips. You're going to have very, very low resistances to ground. And hopefully some of you are already making the connection as to what might be happening here. What happens when you have a high side MOSFET shorted like this is this inductor is essentially just a wire, right? So you now have a connection from here all the way through the high side MOSFET that's shorted. You're going to have a connection directly from the SoC to the main power rail. And as we saw before, over here, we have about a 0.4 ohm resistance to ground through the SoC. And so because this is effectively directly connected to our main power rail, we are actually going to read 0.4 ohms to ground on the main power rail. We can very clearly see that if we measure the main power rail to ground in resistance mode, we're getting about 0.4 ohms to ground. And the problem with voltage injection here is that if you inject voltage, you are effectively injecting directly into the SoC. And hopefully you guys can see that this is a very, very precarious situation that we're in. And this is for a couple different reasons. Number one, if 12 volts has made its way to the SoC in this case, there is a large chance that it is already dead. But there are situations, and I have seen these situations, and I'm going to show you one soon here that I experienced on stream, where the SoC is actually completely fine because the console is actually able to shut itself off and protect itself in time. And sometimes, less often than I would like, these protective measures actually do save the SoC from getting killed by seeing the 12 volts. And here we come along with our power supply in hand, ready to inject into the main power rail. We're going to come in and inject voltage to find our short, because that's the easiest and quickest way to find a short, right? We have our thermal camera. And let's say we're good and we're smart and we inject half of a volt. Let's be conservative. Our 0.5 volts is going to go directly through the SoC because that is the easiest path to ground for the electricity. And there's going to be effectively 0 heat spot on the thermal camera when we come to look at the whole board. The SoC is not going to light up because it's very good at dispersing heat, and nothing else is obviously going to light up because we don't have a short to ground on the board. So naturally and rightfully so, we are going to increase the current limit on our bench power supply and see if we can find a heat spot. And this SoC is just going to eat the current and not show you any heat spot at this voltage. So again, naturally, you're going to go and increase the voltage. Let's go up to 1 volt and see if we can see what's going on. But we are still not going to be able to see a heat spot. And so we're going to increase the current a little bit and increase the voltage a little bit, increase the current a little bit, increase the voltage a little bit, until we realize what's heating up now is the SoC. And the reason that's heating up is because we killed it. It's because we eventually exceeded the voltage that this rail is designed for. Let's say we went up to 2 volts or 3 volts, or God forbid, 12 volts, because you think this rail is designed for 12 volts, so surely we can inject 12 volts. And now we're injecting 12 volts directly into the SoC, and the SoC is going to be very sad about this, and it is going to die. It is going to die very fast before we even make it anywhere close to 12 volts. And we have therefore killed the customer's device, and we're going to think, oh, it's just been shorted through the SoC all this time, when in reality, in this particular case, it is very likely that you are the one that just killed the console. So now it begs the question, how do we avoid this pitfall in repair? My personal favorite way to check if we are safe to inject voltage on the main power rail is to check resistance between the main power rail and the outputs of all of the inductors that we know are fed by that power rail. So in this case, on the PS5, I know for a fact that, for example, our main power rail feeds the 5 volt rail here. This is the 5 volt inductor, and we can see a healthy 47 kilo ohms. Another example of a buck regulator, which is going to be taking 12 volts in, is going to be all of these phases here here for the SoC. So if we check the input of these dual MOSFETs here, you can see these are all connected to the main power rail. But now if we check the outputs, you can see we also have a connection here. I'm going to use resistance mode, and you can see we're seeing 0.07 ohms. So this is very clearly connected directly to the outputs of these inductors. And in this case, we have a shorted high side MOSFET within one of these dual MOSFETs here. So now what we would have to do is figure out which one of these MOSFETs is shorted and replace it, and hope and pray that the device protected itself in time and that the SoC is still good. And one of the red flags that you can look out for in these sorts of situations is if your short is not like fully 0 ohms, like a dead short, and it actually has some level of resistance, that should throw alarm bells off in your head that this is probably a time to not inject voltage and figure out what this rail is actually shorted to, because it's clearly not fully shorted to ground. So in this instance, I actually fabricated a short between the input of the high side MOSFET here and the switching node with this little wire. So this is effectively what would be happening when the high side MOSFET internally shorts on this dual MOSFET here. So if I go ahead and remove our fake short here, then we'll see in resistance mode here that we actually have a healthy 18 mega ohms of resistance on this power rail now. And there was never any short to ground to begin with. Now, I know I faked this particular short for a demo, but I have an example on a stream I did back in October of last year on a customer's PS5 console. And I'm going to talk you guys through exactly what happened with this particular repair. So I'm going to let this play for 2 seconds and I'll cut in and we'll skip ahead to where the issue is. So yeah, it's between positive and negative. We got 15 ohms, which is kind of like weird. It's not like a dead short, really. It's got 15 ohms. So it's probably not gonna be like a capacitor. So already I'm getting pretty suspicious with this short, and we proceed to take the device apart and I measure exactly what I just showed you between the main power rail and the outputs of a few buck regulators that I know are powered by the main power rail. So I'll let that play out right now. We want to make sure that this is not directly connected to like these. Okay, so that's showing 18 ohms. So it's not directly connected to that. Am I on? Yeah, I'm on the positive thing. Just trying to make sure I'm not on ground. So that's showing 24 ohms. That's not connected to that. All right, so it's not directly connected there. I think these are two separate ones. So, oh no, we have a winner. So right here, I discovered that the main power rail is shorted directly through a high side MOSFET to the output of this inductor on this buck regulator here. So 12 volts is making it here, and therefore it's making it here, and therefore it's going to the SoC. That means 12 volts went to the SoC. So we may be out of luck here. We should check this MOSFET because it must just be shorted, right? From here, that's gonna be the 12 volt side, and then this is gonna be, yeah. So right now I'm measuring the resistance between the input of the dual MOSFET here, of the high side MOSFET, and the switching node, which is effectively the output of this dual MOSFET. It's the 1 volt power rail that this thing is generating. So I'm confirming here that it is the MOSFET that is shorted. Yeah, this MOSFET is 0.2 ohms between, this is just 0 ohms between here and here basically. We don't even have to lift this necessarily because we know this is gonna be shorted. But why is it, what? Usually when 12 volts goes into the SoC or like VRAM, you just have a dead short. So here I'm confused, and rightfully so, because it is generally the case that when the main power rail goes directly into the SoC or a GPU or a CPU, it's going to kill it. But a really great example of where the protective measures of the console actually ended up saving the console. And here I'm confused because I'm expecting the SoC to be dead based on the fact that there's a wire going directly between the SoC and the main power rail. So anyways, we go ahead and remove the MOSFET from the console. So here we go, we're putting the new one on, and after putting the new one on, I'm testing standby current draws from my bench power supply at 12 volts. Moment of truth here, I'm gonna turn this on. Go up, go up. Oh no. Sad. Okay, so we still have a problem here, and I'm thinking it's the SoC, right? Because we know the SoC has gotten 12 volts. And later on, we actually find another short on the board, and this is feeding the south bridge. Unsurprisingly, the south bridge likes to blow up on these PS5s. So the next day, we popped on a south bridge, and you can see here we're testing the console, and you're gonna see that it does work. Something doesn't add up. It works perfectly.
What is happening?
So in that instance, I got very lucky and the customer's console was fixable and the SoC was not damaged somehow, even though it did see 12 volts at some point. But it just goes to show that you should do some due diligence first before jumping straight to voltage injection. Understand the context of the short that you're seeing. I think a lot of people jump straight to injecting voltage without kind of considering what else could be the cause for a low resistance to ground. It's not always going to be a short to ground. So you got to keep your eye out for these sorts of situations and don't jump the gun and just go straight to voltage injection. Obviously, there are plenty of instances where voltage injection does make sense, and it is a really phenomenal tool for tracing shorts, and I use it all the time. It's just important to understand the context in which you are using it and to be aware of this pitfall where you can actually end up causing more damage. So hopefully this video was interesting. I know I yapped a lot in this one. If you guys do like these sort of circuit breakdown and practical repair videos, please let me know in the comments and I'll definitely make more of these. Otherwise, as always, I appreciate you guys for watching and I will see you in the next video. Peace.